There is a forgotten god, resting in the shadows of ancient religions, a deity that transcends the dualities that dominate human thought. His name is Abraxas, and although his figure remains obscured to the eyes of most, his essence challenges conventional notions of good and evil, light and darkness. Abraxas does not fit into rigid molds in Gnosticism and other esoteric currents. He is the manifestation of the union of opposites, the fusion between the divine and the mundane, between creation and destruction. But how could a deity of such depth and significance have been forgotten, relegated to occult and esoteric circles? What can Abraxas teach us about the true nature of reality and the complexity of the cosmos? To understand Abraxas, it is necessary to delve into the depths of Gnosticism, a tradition that emerged in the early centuries of the Common Era and offered a radically different view of the cosmos. While Orthodox Christianity presented a world created by an omnipotent and benevolent God, the Gnostics saw the material universe as a trap, a reflection of the imperfection and ignorance of a secondary creator, the demiurge. This being mistakenly believed itself to be the supreme creator, but for the Gnostics, it was merely a limited architect of an imperfect world. At the heart of this philosophy lies the belief in two realms: the material world, controlled by the demiurge, and the pleroma, the divine fullness, where the true God and his emanations, the aeons, reside. The pleroma is a realm of perfection, where spiritual light shines without interference. The Gnostics' goal was to escape the illusions of the physical world, returning to the purity of the pleroma. However, this journey would not be easy, as the demiurge kept souls trapped in a cycle of reincarnation and suffering, causing many to become lost in material illusions. It is within this context that Abraxas emerges, an intriguing figure that escapes the simple dichotomies of good and evil, light and darkness. Unlike other Gnostic deities who align directly with either the pleroma or the material world, Abraxas moves between these spheres. He represents the integration of opposing forces, challenging the traditional view of a divided cosmos. While the Gnostics sought liberation from the material, Abraxas questions whether this separation is truly possible or even desirable. His paradoxical existence challenges both Gnostic and Christian conventions. If the ultimate goal of Gnosticism was to reach the light and abandon the darkness, why does Abraxas embody both? He forces us to ask, is the true nature of reality as divided as we think? Or does deeper spiritual understanding require the acceptance of both light and shadow? The rise of Gnosticism as a rebellious and mystical school of thought allowed figures like Abraxas to gain a place in the esoteric imagination. Gnosticism, with its critical view of the material world, proposed a path of self-knowledge and spiritual liberation. However, while many sought purification and ascension to the pleroma, Abraxas offered an alternative route: the acceptance of the whole, without rejecting any part of reality. This intriguing duality, present in Abraxas, goes beyond good and evil. He challenges the very structure of creation, forcing us to question whether the world can truly be divided so clearly. Instead of being an entity that separates, Abraxas unites. He transcends the simple game of light and darkness, offering a broader and more integrated vision of the cosmos. Abraxas is, in his essence, a being that both embodies and transcends all dualities. Unlike other Gnostic deities, who typically position themselves at one extreme or the other, representing good or evil, light or darkness, Abraxas refuses to be categorized. He is the personification of the integration of opposing forces, revealing that, in the end, everything is a manifestation of a single cosmic principle. His presence challenges our usual understanding of order and chaos, creation and destruction. He is both creator and destroyer, and he cares little about aligning with what humans classify as good or evil. By integrating these opposing forces, Abraxas demonstrates that the cosmos does not operate according to the simple moral rules we create. Instead, reality is a constant dance between extremes, an eternal flow of transformation. One may ask, what would happen if we abandoned our need to define the world through extremes? The answer Abraxas offers is clear. We would reach a much deeper and truer understanding of the nature of the universe. His symbolism is rich and enigmatic. The rooster's head, associated with awakening and vigilance, points to Abraxas's nature as a force that transcends time, awakening humanity to a new perception. His snake-like legs, connected to wisdom and transformation, reinforce his role as a mediator between dualities. These images are metaphors for the spiritual state sought by Gnostics and alchemists, a state of complete acceptance of all facets of being without rejecting any part of the experience. Why do we insist on dividing the world so rigidly? Perhaps it is because we fear the unknown, the gray areas between good and evil. But Abraxas invites us to explore precisely those ambiguous zones where true creative power resides. He reveals that true wisdom is not found in rejecting darkness in favor of light, but in integrating both sides of existence. Unlike many deities who exemplify a virtue or aspect of life, Abraxas embodies all elements, chaos and order, good and evil. He reminds us that attempting to flee from any part of ourselves or from cosmic reality is an illusion. By facing polarities with acceptance, the spiritual seeker reaches a level of understanding that goes beyond the limiting concepts of morality and duality. Abraxas' role in Gnosticism and other esoteric traditions goes far beyond simply being a paradoxical god. He is the key to a new way of thinking, a way of seeing reality as an integrated whole. His teachings are profound and challenging, forcing us to confront our assumptions about what it means to be good, to be evil, to create or to destroy. Perhaps it is only by accepting this complexity that we can come closer to the ultimate truth. The numerical symbolism of Abraxas offers additional clues about his role as a cosmic mediator. In Gnosticism, the name Abraxas, when written in Greek, has a numerical value of 365, a number that carries powerful meanings. It symbolizes the complete cycle of the solar year, and, at the same time, reflects the totality of the cosmos. But how does Abraxas relate to time, and what does his association with the number 365 reveal about his function in the universe? The number 365 is also connected to the Gnostic heavens, where each sphere is governed by an archon, entities that control the dimensions of the material world. These archons, like the demiurge, keep souls trapped in an endless cycle of birth and death. By mastering this number, Abraxas positions himself as the Lord of Time, transcending the cosmic prison imposed by the cycle of reincarnation and the control of the archons. Moreover, his connection to time is not merely a chronological association. For the Gnostics, time is an oppressive force, a cycle from which souls must escape to achieve true spiritual freedom. Abraxas, identified with the number 365, not only dominates this cycle, but also offers an escape route for those seeking gnosis. His power lies in transcending linear time, transforming the eternal cycle of creation and destruction into something comprehensible and controllable by those who attain deep knowledge. The symbolism of the number 365, therefore, goes beyond its association with the days of the year. It represents Abraxas' control over cosmic cycles and his power to transform time into a tool for spiritual ascension. He is not just a figure who operates within the cosmos. He governs the cosmos itself, mastering the archons who attempt to keep souls trapped in the material world. In doing so, Abraxas becomes a mediator between the physical and spiritual worlds, offering Gnostics the key to escaping the prison of time. The relationship between Abraxas and cyclical time also reflects a deeper vision of spiritual reality. While many religious traditions view time as something linear, the Gnostics understood it as a repetitive cycle, a prison from which only true knowledge could liberate. Abraxas, by personifying both time and eternity, shows that spiritual liberation is not a rejection of time, but a mastery over it. Thus, the name Abraxas carries a power that goes far beyond its literal meaning. It encapsulates an esoteric understanding of the universe, where time, creation, and destruction are forces that can be transcended. Abraxas is not merely a symbolic deity, but an active force, offering spiritual liberation to those who understand his true meaning. His name, image, and essence are intertwined with the deep mysteries of the cosmos, providing the key to ascending beyond the limits of the material world. Abraxas holds a central place in the esoteric tradition of alchemy, which sought to unite opposing forces to achieve transmutation, both physical and spiritual. The alchemical process is often represented by the principle of solva et coagula, to dissolve and to unite. And Abraxas, with his paradoxical nature, is the living personification of this eternal cycle. The goal of alchemy, more than transforming base metals into gold, was inner transformation, the complete integration of being, the union of opposites in a state of perfect harmony. In alchemy, the sun and moon represent primordial forces, masculine and feminine, spirit, and matter, that must be balanced for the great work to be completed. Abraxas, by embodying both light and darkness, symbolizes this perfect alchemical balance. He is neither purely sun nor purely moon, but a fusion of the two. In his hybrid nature, he reflects the ideal state of the alchemist, one who has transcended the divisions between opposites and achieved complete union. The cycle of solve et coagula also resonates with Abraxas, as he both dissolves and coagulates. By breaking down the boundaries between polarities, he allows the spiritual seeker to reintegrate them into a cohesive unity, just as the alchemist must pass through the chaos of dissolution to reach the clarity of union. Abraxas teaches that true transformation occurs only by accepting and integrating all aspects of reality, rather than attempting to separate or reject them. This integration of opposites is not just a philosophical concept, but a profound spiritual practice. Abraxas reminds us that the spiritual journey is not linear. It is cyclical, like the alchemical process itself. The adept must pass through multiple phases of dissolution and recreation, death and rebirth, until totality is achieved. Abraxas, as the god of sun and moon, exemplifies this journey in his own existence, showing that true enlightenment comes not from rejecting one side in favor of the other, but from the complete acceptance of both. The image of Abraxas, with his rooster's head and serpent legs, also echoes these alchemical principles. The rooster, a symbol of dawn, represents rebirth and spiritual vigilance, the sun that brings new life. The serpents, on the other hand, symbolize wisdom, transformation, and rebirth, which are central to alchemical practice. By uniting these two elements, Abraxas personifies the ultimate goal of alchemy, complete spiritual rebirth, where light and darkness, spirit and matter, meet in perfect harmony. Thus, Abraxas is more than a Gnostic figure. He is an alchemical archetype who guides seekers on their journey of self-transformation. His presence in the esoteric tradition reminds us that true enlightenment can only be achieved when we accept and integrate all aspects of ourselves in the universe. The alchemical balance he represents is the key to spiritual realization. In the world of ancient magic, Abraxas played a unique and powerful role. While many Gnostic deities were confined to philosophical and spiritual circles, Abraxas was invoked as a figure of practical power, a mediator between the human and the divine. He became a strong presence in grimoires, amulets, and talismans, revered by magicians and occultists who recognized his power in balancing the opposing forces of the universe. Abraxas, with his dual nature, offered an essential balance for magical practices. The world of magic, like that of spirituality, deals with forces that often oppose each other: light and darkness, creation and destruction, order and chaos. Magicians and occultists understood that mastering these forces required more than choosing one over the other. It necessitated a mediator, an entity capable of guiding the practitioner through the labyrinths of the cosmos. Abraxas, with his ability to transcend polarities, was ideal for this task. His invocation in rituals was seen as a way to balance chaotic energies and direct them toward a defined purpose. Unlike other deities who operated strictly within the limits of a moral or cosmic sphere, Abraxas moved freely between all spheres, making him a valuable tool for the magician seeking to harmonize divergent forces. Rather than being a neutral or passive force, he was an active manipulator of cosmic energies. Amulets and talismans bearing Abraxas, found in various esoteric traditions, reflect his importance in magic. These objects, inscribed with his name and image, served not only as symbols, but as channels for Abraxas's power. By wearing an Abraxas amulet, the magician believed they were protected from the destructive and imbalanced forces of the cosmos, while also gaining the power to direct energies in their life to achieve their goals. Additionally, Abraxas offered something few other Gnostic deities did: the ability to control destiny. For practitioners of magic, destiny was seen as fluid, manipulable by those with the necessary knowledge and power. By invoking Abraxas, the magician was appealing to a force capable of transcending the limitations of time and cosmic laws. This ability to master fate, to harmonize the forces that govern the universe, was key to successful magical practice. Abraxas, therefore, was more than a philosophical or symbolic deity. He was a practical power, accessible to those who understood his true nature. His presence in the magical tradition serves as a reminder that spiritual and cosmic balance is not something to be merely contemplated, but something that can be manipulated, controlled, and used for personal and spiritual purposes. Through Abraxas, the magician gained not only wisdom, but also power over the forces that shape the universe. Abraxas' relationship with time is one of the keys to understanding his role within Gnosticism and esoteric practices. His name, with the numerical value of 365, reveals his intimate connection with the cycles of time, and, by extension, with control over destiny. For the Gnostics, time was a prison that kept human souls trapped in the cycle of reincarnation, unable to return to the pleroma. Abraxas, through his association with the number 365, positions himself as a lord of time, capable of transcending this prison and mastering the cosmic cycles. However, Abraxas is not merely a god who operates within time. He transcends the very concept of linear time. While in most religious traditions, time progresses in a straight line, from creation to the end of days, the Gnostics viewed it as an eternal cycle of repetition. For them, the true spiritual goal was to escape this cycle, to free oneself from the bonds of time. Abraxas, by representing both the cycle and its transcendence, offers a solution to this dilemma. The number 365 is not just a reference to the solar cycle, it also reflects the complexity of the Gnostic cosmos, with its multiple layers of reality, represented by the 365 heavens. Each of these heavens was governed by an archon, and these entities kept souls trapped in the material world. Abraxas, through his dominion over the 365, was seen as a figure who could govern these archons, liberating souls from their influence and guiding them beyond the limitations imposed by the temporal cycle. Abraxas' connection to time also touches on a central aspect of the human experience: the fear of death and the end. Abraxas, with his ability to control time, teaches us that death is not the end, but an essential part of a larger cycle of creation and destruction. He invites us to see time not as an enemy, but as a force to be understood, and ultimately transcended. Time, under Abraxas' rule, is not something to be feared, but rather a tool for spiritual growth. Through Abraxas, time ceases to be a straight line, or a cyclical prison. It becomes something more fluid, malleable to those who achieve gnosis. Time, like light and darkness, is a duality that must be integrated and mastered. Abraxas, as the Lord of cosmic cycles, offers us the possibility of transcending time and reaching a state of spiritual eternity. Thus, Abraxas represents the possibility of control over the cycles of life and death, of birth and destruction. He is the master of time and destiny, and through him, spiritual seekers can achieve liberation from the temporal prison that keeps their souls trapped in the material world. Understanding Abraxas as the Lord of cosmic cycles is the key to a broader vision of reality, where time is not a barrier, but a passage to eternity. Although Abraxas is a central figure in Gnosticism, his symbolism transcends this tradition, echoing through various mythologies and religions around the world. The union of opposites that he represents, light and darkness, good and evil, is an archetype that appears in many cultures, suggesting that his essence is universal and not confined to a single spiritual current, rather than being an isolated figure of the Gnostic tradition. Abraxas reflects a cosmic truth that transcends religious boundaries. In Hinduism, we find a comparable figure in Shiva, the destroyer and creator, who, like Abraxas, embodies both destruction and rebirth. Shiva is neither purely benevolent nor malevolent, but represents the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Just as Abraxas, Shiva mediates between opposites, and his cosmic dance, the Tandava, symbolizes the constant flow of the cosmos between creation and destruction. The Taoist concept of yin and yang is another example of how the union of opposites is a fundamental idea in various spiritual traditions. In Taoism, the universe is composed of complementary and interdependent forces that together form a harmonious whole: light and darkness, positive and negative, masculine and feminine, all coexist in dynamic balance. Similarly, Abraxas embodies these polarities, not as forces in conflict, but as different expressions of the same universal truth. In Norse mythology, we find Loki, the trickster god and agent of change, who, though often seen as a force of chaos, plays a crucial role in cosmic balance. Like Abraxas, Loki does not easily align with good or evil, but acts as a catalyst for transformation. His moral ambiguity reflects the paradoxical nature of Abraxas, challenging conventional notions of morality and showing that all forces are necessary for the balance of the cosmos. These examples demonstrate that the idea of a deity uniting opposites is not exclusive to Gnosticism. It is, in fact, a a universal archetype that manifests across cultures. This leads us to ask, what do these traditions tell us about the nature of reality? Abraxas, as a global archetype, invites us to reconsider our dualistic view of the world and embrace the complexity of existence. He reminds us that light and darkness, good and evil, are two sides of the same coin. The presence of archetypes like Abraxas, Shiva, and yin and yang in spiritual traditions worldwide suggests that the quest for the integration of opposites is an essential part of the human journey. This quest reflects the need to find internal balance, to accept all parts of ourselves and the cosmos. Abraxas, by embodying this totality, becomes a symbol not just for Gnostics, but for all who seek to understand the ultimate truth of existence. The power of Abraxas as a universal archetype is his ability to transcend divisions and guide us toward a broader and more inclusive vision of the cosmos. He teaches us that spiritual wisdom lies not in choosing between opposites, but in accepting both as essential parts of a greater reality. His symbolism continues to resonate across traditions, inviting us to embrace the complexity and totality of the universe. Abraxas is a figure that challenges conventional perceptions of duality and offers an integrated view of the cosmos. His nature, which embodies both creation and destruction, good and evil, transcends moral categories and invites us to a deeper and more holistic understanding of reality. He remains a figure of great spiritual relevance, reflecting the complexity of life and human existence. If you're interested in exploring more about spirituality, I have specially selected some videos filled with profound knowledge and fascinating discoveries that you're sure to love. Just click on one of them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-discovery and spiritual learning. Your commitment to knowledge is the first step in transforming your reality.